Welcome back to the Brazos River Podcast. We've got an exciting one today. Nevan Osburn, 17-year-old angler, is here, and we're going to talk to him here in just a second. We are just weeks away from whitetail season, which is awesome. I know a lot of guys who have gotten to go out and archery hunt. Colt, who you hear on the podcast every once in a while, killed a whitetail the other day in his county, and he killed a really big axis with a rifle just a couple of days ago as we record this. So he's got stories to tell. We're going to hear those stories coming up in the next couple of weeks. I'm excited to hear those, and then hear what some of you guys have planned for whitetail season as well, and where you're going to be, and hear some of those stories after you're done going to get your whitetail. So let's jump in as we talk to Nevan Osburn. Nevan, thanks for being here.
Yep, no problem.
This is cool. I've gotten to know you a little bit over the last several months, I'd say, even longer. You've been coming to the fishing tournaments that Tri-Lakes, Tackletown, one of our sponsors, puts on every Thursday night, the Working Man's. That's where I got to know you kind of first. And then we got to know each other through doing some video stuff and that kind of thing. So this is exciting for me to be able to sit down and talk with you a little bit. So thanks for being here.
Yep, no problem.
So tell me your story. I mean, I see your stuff on social media. You know what you're doing. There's a lot of guys out there who are older than you who don't necessarily know how to handle everything that comes along with fishing from a professional standpoint. And you're getting to do some of that right now, and you're getting to dabble in that a little bit. Talk about what that experience has been like for you.
Yeah, so far the experience has just been amazing. I've started off pretty young, so all of this is kind of new to me. I've always been like a person to go chase bluegill and catfish since I was young, but I really hopped in the tournament scene when I was like 14, 15, my freshman year of high school.
Right.
So ever since then, I've just been building and building and building. And then junior year, I quit all my other sports, and I'm like, I love fishing. This is what I want to do the rest of my life. So from then there, it's just been dedication almost every week, or even twice, 3 times a week. I'm on the water, I'm fishing, I'm fully dedicated. Always just trying to learn and get better.
What's crazy to me is you're 17, but you already handle this like it's a business, which is 100%. Genius. I think anybody who's starting out something like this, even though some would feel like, well, it's fishing, how do you handle that from a professional standpoint? Well, there's guys out there, just like you see any other athlete, who have to handle what they're doing as a business. So there's things you're doing with partnerships, sponsorships. There are events that you're making sure you're going to make sure that your face is there, that you're participating in it. Right now, that's at a high school level. Talk about that a little bit, what it looks like to compete at a high school level.
Right. So to compete against a high school level, it's pretty unique because I get to meet a lot of the younger anglers, especially that are just coming into the sport. So you kind of get to mentor those guys. And every tournament, win or lose, my main deal is I just like to meet people. My main goal every tournament for high school is just to meet 5 new kids, get to talk to them, hand out merch, give tips, sometimes sign autographs, take pictures, but mainly just get to meet the next generation going forward, because you never know, you could shake somebody's hand and they could be the next Wheeler.
That's
or
right.
You could meet somebody and they could go on to be the owner of the next big company. So I always try to be a positive influence in the sport for sure, especially in the high school deal. The high school deal when I started was pretty rough, because coming from a family that has like nothing to do with fishing, it's pretty challenging, because I know a lot of guys started through their dads, through their grandpas, uncles, stuff like that. I had a grandpa that was a huge time catfisherman and an uncle that liked to fish here and there, but really besides them, I had nobody else. So this was mainly off of like YouTube and just like being out there for hours and grinding and grinding. It wasn't like freshman year I hopped in and then boom, I'm just winning.
What started your passion though? That's what I want to know. If your granddad was he liked to catfish,
right?
And like that kind of did you get to do that with your granddad?
Here and there.
Okay.
Kind of like it was like a once a year, 2 times a year, kind of when we visited him. It was mainly trout lining. It wasn't even like really fishing at that point. It was mainly just like checking jug lines and trout lines.
Yeah, I like that old school stuff.
Yeah.
Though. I think a lot of guys who are my age and older still, that's what we remember when we were kids, was getting to do that. I think there's a new wave of anglers out there who have really modernized the sport, which I think is great. Jacob Wheeler being one of them, but you have guys who have been doing it for years and years and years, if you're watching those MLF tournaments, and they kind of have an old school way of doing things. And then there's guys like you who are coming in, this new wave, who are completely entertaining to watch, but they also know how to catch some fish. And so I think it's a completely different mindset that this new wave of anglers have. And so if you weren't catfishing, you got to catfish with Granddad every once in a while. What was it that said, you know what, this is what I want to start fishing tournaments. I want to dive deeper into this industry.
Yeah, 100%. So I guess it really started freshman year when I got into high school. I really didn't know much about bass fishing. I was mainly used to like throwing like the little rooster tails and crappie jigs in the creek behind my house and catching like those half-pound bass. And I always thought it was fun because the bass always fought harder than the bluegill I was catching. So that was fun.
Yep.
So it really started there, and I heard there was a bass team in high school, so I'm like, this could be interesting because I enjoy creek fishing. So, I mean, how much harder could it be on a lake? And it's way harder on a lake. It was a huge news flash.
Right.
Like, you are a small fish in a huge body of water at that point, especially our very first tournament I remember ever was fishing Lake Louisville. And if y'all know Lake Louisville, any amount of wind, it's whitecapping. Yeah. Like, it is a huge lake. So we went out there, and I remember I practiced 3 times, and I think I had 1 keeper out of the 3 times I practiced. And it was just a huge eye-opener. I'm like, wow, it is not like it's perceived on YouTube and MLF, because those guys make it look so easy.
Yeah.
But once you get out there, it's a whole nother game. And I didn't even catch a fish, honestly, till like my 3rd tournament in high school, and that was on Granbury, and it was like 1.5 pounds, and you thought I caught the world record at that point. I was screaming. A boat flipped that 1.5 pounds. It was barely 14.5 inches, but you thought I had a ShareLunker on.
Right.
And just that feeling and excitement almost became an addiction to me.
Yeah.
Like, even though we like probably got near last with 1.5 pounds, it was such an excitement and enjoyment being able to catch that fish. And from there, we made it to regionals, which was a pretty cool deal. And freshman year was also when we had the Bassmaster Classic down in Fort Worth.
Right.
So I thought that was a pretty cool deal. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know, like, I watched YouTube, but the guys I was watching were like Guggen Squad, and like I never really got into professional fishing until I went to the Classic, and it opened my eyes, and it made me realize, like, this is something like these guys are doing full time, and that is their job. And not even that the anglers, it's like you can now do it full time through companies too, if it's marketing, shooting videos, whatever. Like, there is so many open doors in the fishing industry, and that was a huge eye-opener going to the Classic and seeing Hank Cherry win it. And then from there, I was just mind-boggled. And I told my mom and dad that year, sophomore year, I'm like, this is what I want to do.
Wow.
I want to quit tennis. This is what I want to do. And they made me hold out for 1 more year, because at that point, a lot of people don't know this about me, so this is a fun fact to the viewers, but I was actually an all-state tennis player.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I didn't
freshman
know that.
and sophomore year, I went to state twice, and I was decent at it. It was fun just because it's an active sport and you can do it year-round, but sophomore year, I really didn't want to do it, but we still made it to state. I still stayed positive through it, and then junior year, they were like, okay, Nevan's really committed. And then they let me get out of tennis, and it was just game on from then.
So talk about that for a little bit, that transition from kind of making that call to step out of tennis into fishing from a standpoint of your parents, their
100%.
involvement and their support. I know your dad's a business owner. And I can see where your business acumen comes into play because of your dad, I think, is part of it, and then it comes natural to you. So talk about their support.
100%. So they've always been supportive in anything I've done. I've played a bunch of sports throughout my youth life, baseball, the football, basketball, everything. I've done it. But they were questionable at first, 100%, because to most average people, fishing is just like a recreational for fun deal.
Right.
So they just see it as something to do on the weekend to have fun and get the kids outdoors. And I guess as they seen my love for the sport develop, and they could see, like, because the first 2 days I went to the Classic, they didn't come with me. And then the third day, my dad went, and it also opened his eyes just as much as it did to mine. And you realized as well, like, there's a whole other world that we haven't even seen in fishing.
Wow.
And they've always been supportive through it. They come to the tournament still. They travel with me when I go to the MLF circuit, even when they've always been there. They try their hardest not to miss a tournament. I appreciate both of them very, very much because they've always been there and they've always been supportive. But definitely at first they were questionable, I would say.
And as a parent right now, I've got a 10-year-old and an 8-year-old, and if they're as they're growing up, I think it would be a little bit of a curveball for me if my son who fishes, but he doesn't. You know, we striper fish. I haven't even taken him bass fishing. We striper fish. We've done all that before. But if he were to kind of throw that curveball and he was already good at something,
right,
that would be hard for me to go, okay, let's just jump right in. You know,
100%.
So I get where they're coming from.
Right. And like I said, they really never, like, grew up around bass fishing. Like,
Right.
They both grew up in West Texas in the desert. So
Yeah.
for fishing with them, or like for them, was like activity they did once, maybe 3-4 years, like, and especially bass fishing, let alone. So they weren't, they were just as new to the idea as I was at that point. And they were definitely, supportive but questioned at the same time, I'd 100% say, because like, to leave something you're exceptionally good at and just drop it for something like you barely know anything about, as a parent, I would agree with you. I would be questionable 100% as well, because I took lessons in tennis. I went to these college camps.
A lot of money's been spent to make you as good as you were at tennis.
100%. There was lessons put on involved in private lessons, and just to drop it and say, you know what, I just want to fish, was, looking back on it, it was a great decision because it's definitely helped me get as far as I am right now.
Yeah.
But at first, even I questioned myself, getting to those first, like, couple tournaments and getting your teeth kicked in, and especially after you quit something that you put your heart in,
right?
Like tennis, it even made me question myself because, I just dropped the ball on something that I could have possibly gone to college for.
Right.
I probably could have gone semi-pro if I really, really wanted to.
Right.
And I'm not saying to the viewers you have to quit and drop everything for fishing if you want to do that career path, but I would say it definitely did help, because now I don't have to worry about going to practices after school. I don't have to worry about going to games. It's fishing from the morning to the evening. I'm either watching fishing videos, getting tackles like separated, or it's just,
you're deep into it.
Yeah, you're minimizing the things you're focusing on.
Yeah, so, which I think is genius to do it at such 100%. A young age. Here's a quick funny story. So I was texting Nevan this week, and I said, hey, can you record the podcast sometime this week in the morning? Or I gave him a specific day or something, and he's like, well, I'm busy. I have school. And so I forget, because Nevan, his mindset is a little bit older than the average 17-year-old. I didn't even think about him being in high school. And so I love that you have minimized things that could distract you away from what you're dead set on, and that's becoming a pro angler, being successful as a pro angler. And I think that's a game changer for those going along those same lines, for those who are young, you've got a lot of young followers. I've seen that. I've seen Nevan Osburn merchandise on young guys. You know, I've gotten to see a lot of what you're able to do. For those kids, for those young people, what do you say to them as they're kind of flirting with this idea that, man, I could do this for the rest of my life? They may be having a hard time having conversation with parents about it. What do you say to those guys?
To those guys, I would definitely tell them it's a lot of hard work, you know, and it's not going to come easy. Fishing is a difficult sport. It's year round. You're going to be in 110 degree weather, and I fished in all the way down to like 8 degrees before. It's hard. It's not going out on the lake and picking a random spot. It's the studying. It's the tackle stores. So if you want to get into it as deep as I am, or even if you just want to be at the high school level, that's another thing. Just like any sport, you're going to have to be prepared and you're going to have to practice just as much as well. But I would 100% recommend it because I love fishing, and I feel like a lot of my young followers love it too.
Right.
So I would 100% say the full send to the idea, but I would agree.
Don't hold back.
Don't hold back. You know, if you want to do it, let's do it. Like, and I get like DMs and messages all the time, like, what can I do to get in? And it's just, you just got to start.
Yeah, that's a good word.
100%. You just have to start at it. You have to at least open the door, because you never know how good you're going to become unless you open that door and you start.
Yep.
And you just got to put time and time. Like, no, there is so many YouTube videos out there, and 100%, that's how I learned. Like, just watching hours on hours of just like Wired to Bass, and even like just reading like Bass Pro articles, just reading and watching videos over and over and over. That's good, but time on the water, 100%, just like in any sport, like football, you're going to have, if you're a quarterback, you're going to practice on the field and you're going to practice throwing and everything. Just like in fishing, you want to get on these lakes and you want to definitely get out there and you want to learn and just grind it out. And
I think that's a good word for anybody who's contemplating any career, to be 100%. Honest with you. If you're young, I'll give a quick story for my wife, for example. She went through a traumatic experience, lost someone she was very close to in a car accident. It was her cousin, and then her aunt had a brain injury, and her physical therapist brought her aunt back to operating and functioning like normal. My wife, at a very young age, decided, I'm going to be a physical therapist because I saw what happened. So at a young age, she said, okay, everything that I do, even through college, she left her sorority, she left everything. She thought she could do it all, go work on her schooling, and she just decided, I'm laser focused on being a physical therapist. So I'm going to minimize the distractions, and I'm focused on this. I think that's a good word. If you're going 100%. Into fishing, it's the same way. It's what you're doing. And it's for anybody, any young follower who's listening to this today, saw Nevan Osburn's name come across their social media, saw he was on a podcast, and if you know that's huge to be able to say that to people, and so that's encouraging. I want to switch gears a little bit. There's a small select group of people in our area, in your circles, in our circle, of guys who have had an opportunity to jump on the Icon bandwagon, and you're one of those guys.
100%.
And Kyle Hall was our first interview on the podcast, and I've had the chance to be around a few other guys with Icons, and I go out on those Icons pretty often. I think they're pretty sick. Give us your. I know how this works. You got to be a little political. Right. But and I've shot some video that's gone to Icon as well. So I get it. How's it running? What do you think? Tell me about it.
Man, in my opinion, I don't think there's a better bass boat out there. Yeah. You know, especially like the young followers getting into the sport. There's not a safer boat. So if parents are looking to get into the boating deal, there's not a safer boat out there. I've yet to take a single wave over. Like, I have actually tried. Like, I've gone out to PK and just sat in the middle of Hell's Gate on a Saturday. Yeah. And I'm like, I really want to test it. Like, can this thing get a wave over it?
Yeah.
And it can't. It's crazy. And the ability to also run going 60 miles an hour through such rough water is a huge advantage as well. Like, there was a tournament a couple weeks back where it was a 60 boat tournament. I was 30, but there was a chop on the water that morning. And the reality in fishing is you may be able to run in like the bass cats and the bullets. You may be able to run 85 when it's slick, but it's never truly slick on the water. There's always boats out there. There's wake boats, pontoons, other bass boats running up and down the lake. So when you take off that morning and all the other boats have to slow down due to the wakes, well, that Icon can just take it, and you can just gas them and pass them. Like, I started at 30, and I was able to catch up to the second guy.
Yeah.
It was like, that was the biggest eye-opener for me, because everybody loves to hate,
right,
like, or just like dislike something. And the biggest dislike that I've seen on the internet with the Icon is, it goes 65, 70, that is a slow boat, lead sled, whatever you want to call it. But there's a difference and a comfortability as well. Going, in my opinion, nobody should be going 80, 85, 90 miles an hour on the water. It's not safe from any standpoint.
I don't care if you're fishing for the most money you've ever fished for in your life and you're trying to get to that spot. It doesn't matter.
Because at that point, the hole is not even in the water. Yeah. One like wave, and that's where somebody can get hurt and possibly die or get injured going that fast. So building a bass boat that fast may seem cool, especially to the young guys. But from a safety and comfortability, going 60, 65, there's no shame in that, because you are able to take that rough water with the Icon, and you're able to make
turns at a crazy speed.
100% too.
Yeah, I mean, it's that the hole is
so wide.
Yeah,
it's crazy. Like, you can put 3 guys up on that hole and just be fine.
I know, I love it. It's great for guys like me who are filming, because there's plenty of room. You know, usually I'm dancing around whoever's fishing.
100%.
And you don't have to. I mean,
and it's all padded.
Oh, it's
so you can be out there all day and be like no back problems or anything, which is amazing.
Yeah, it's the most comfortable bass boat I've ever been in. 100%. And then everything it's got that's just included blows my mind. So it sounds like an Icon commercial. It's not. But my point is, you've had an opportunity, and there's probably not another 17-year-old in the country with an Icon. There might be, because it's a commitment. I mean, if we're 100%. Shooting straight here, you're talking about getting your high school kid one. There's not a lot of folks out there who have 100%. The ability to go do something like that. But if you are, I mean, it's worth it from a safety, comfortability, speed, you know, all those things combined. What it's able to do, I think it likely is the best bass boat on the market.
I would say so. 100%.
And they're still new, so you know, I feel like if there are kinks, just like anything else that new comes out, you know, if there are kinks, they work them out, and their customer service is top notch.
Oh, it is. Like, I know most of the guys up at the factory now, just because I've been around the Icon and the Icon company, and everybody is so nice. So, like, if something that were to happen, they'll overnight you that part immediately. And there's not, like, I don't want to hate on other companies too much, but like, customer service is a deal, like, I feel that's kind of gone away a little bit in the bass industry. A little bit, like, I know a lot of other boats that are having problems, and they can't get parts for weeks on months. Right. But if anything goes out on an Icon, it's there the next day, and you're getting it installed right there on the spot. Or if you're at an MLF tournament, they'll show up at that MLF tournament and fix it right there. Like, when Wheeler first originally started running this Icon, he blew a blade out on the Coosa River, I think. And they actually went to his boat and replaced the prop on his boat in the middle of the tournament. So the customer service is exceptional. Yeah, from that standpoint.
Well, and their history too. If you're curious about the Icon boat, their HCB Yachts is the company, the parent company, I guess, who started Icon. Same crew. So they're used to these fishing yachts that are just millions of dollars. Right. And when you have that kind of, that's your audience, I guess, then whatever product you put out, better have the same feeling to it. So when they
100%.
came out with a bass boat, they had all those things in mind. Same things they were doing for HCB yachts. They were going to do the best of their ability. Whenever they introduce the Icon, you can tell that it's a game changer.
Oh, 100%.
I love watching you do your thing on social media. How has social media played a part in what you get to do?
Social media has definitely played a big part for me. The ability to share your share your fishing and being able to, I would guess, almost say the kind of network, almost just be able to network and meet new people all around the country. I love it. I love going to these events and just meeting like new followers that are like, hey, I seen your stuff, I really like watching. That's a really cool feeling. But being able to share your story or just share products and ideas with people, I love. And it's definitely changed me a lot because I have grown such a following on my social medias that it's definitely helped me out 100%. Like when you go and you want to talk about sponsorship deals or working or partnering with other companies, it definitely helps because if you do win or if you do good at an event, well, instead of the 100 people at the event knowing, now you can go ahead and you can reach out to 10,000 or 50,000.
Right.
So you get to share what's going on with you from that standpoint. And I would say as fishing evolves and as the world evolves to more online, social media is a huge player.
Yeah.
Like, there are probably as much, if not more, guys making more money on social media in the fishing industry than pro anglers right now.
Yeah.
Because it's such a huge audience. Like for example, today it's windy. Like, nobody is going to be on the water today, but in order to learn, they're probably going to pick up on YouTube or they're going to go search online, like videos and everything else. So they're going to be searching these anglers like Wheeler or whoever on YouTube and just watching them and learning.
How-tos on the
100%.
Guggen Squad YouTube channel. Those,
right.
I mean, that kind of stuff. You said this earlier, but it's kind of crazy to think about the opportunities that are out there in the fishing industry, period.
100%.
Not just as a tournament angler, but a guide. There are guys
100%.
out there that we both know that make a lot of money guiding trips. I know you've guided as well. I know, doing social media for some of these companies. Those guys just fish for those companies specifically, so they're making content.
Right.
And there's plenty of money to be made there. So I can imagine that social media would be a game changer for anybody, specifically in the fishing world, in regards to sponsorships and
right,
100%, and that kind
especially young anglers, because the days of watching an event, like fishing back in the day was a huge deal to watch on TV, like in the 2000s. Like, everybody wanted to turn on their TV and like watch the Bassmaster Classic on the TV, but now we're able to watch it on our phones. So I feel like with social media, the people are more able to get their name out there more easily.
Right.
Because instead of like having to be on the pro circuit and go to events and share your story or have your own TV show, and now you're able to post TikToks, post YouTube videos, post Instagram reels, and get just as famous, if not more famous now, because more people are on their phones rather than watching the TV shows. So I think from that standpoint, for the young guys, especially coming into the sport that are not on the pro circuit yet, like the Bass Pro Tour or the Elite Series, it helps us a lot from that standpoint, because we are able to get our names out there and people are able to see us when we go to tournaments, and the companies that we do represent, now they can get their name out there more. So it's like a huge
benefit to everybody involved.
Right, 100%. It's a huge benefit, I would say. Like, just for everybody, but especially for the new generation, it's probably a huge, huge deal going forward.
And then, You know, as far as mentors, do you have any fishing mentors, guys you hang around who teach you things? You may not, you may, but are there guys around you that you're able to learn from?
100%. Keith Hall, Kyle Hall up at Trout Lakes. Those guys have mentored me for like the last year.
Yeah.
Ever since I met them and got with Trout Lakes, those guys have taught me a lot. And Kyle's in the invitationals, as you know, he's a huge pro angler and is really good at it. But from a lot of it, besides this last year of meeting like all the pro guys and everything through social media and going to these events and meeting the pro guys like Dakota and like Josh Jones, all those guys, it honestly has been myself. Like,
yeah.
I don't know if you do this, but for me personally, on my social media, I have like daily alarm. Like when I was starting my social media, it was a day in, day out grind. I used to post 3-4 times a day. I had timers set on my phones. If I wasn't posting, I was editing videos. It was just
content.
Yeah, and just going and going and going. And if I wasn't posting content, I was on the water learning so much. So for the longest time, I was my mentor, and that's what I try to do now. Like now that I've gotten big and semi-successful at this, now I'm trying to mentor the young guys.
Yeah.
Like trying to lead them in the right direction. See if I can, even if I don't go pro at the end of the day, my biggest goal is to at least leave the fishing industry better than I joined it.
Yeah, that's good.
Like, if I do go pro, I love it. If I end up working in the bass industry, great. If not, at least want to open as many doors as I can while I'm here. And I want to have as many kids enjoy the sport as much as I do and help open doors for them and be able to show them like bass fishing is now competitive enough where it can be a sport, and now this is something you can do for a living if you want to take that route. So I definitely want to help out the young guys as much as I can and mentor those guys.
So that's a great word. Leave the fishing industry better than when you came on, which is really cool to hear. So you're a senior now?
Yes, sir.
And you're at Brock?
Yes, sir.
ISD. So for those of you who are listening, it's been crazy, by the way. We have people from all over that are listening right now that it blows my mind to see where all they're listening from. But so if you're not familiar with the area we're on Lake Granbury right now recording. Mm-hmm. Brock is probably 40 minutes away. 45 minutes away. And then you live kind of close to there as well. Mm-hmm. You're a senior at Brock High School. What's your game plan?
So my game plan since early last year was I want to hop on the MLF circuit as a co-angler. So that's what I'm doing right now is I'm a co-angler.
And you're doing that through
MLF.
Toyota Series?
Yes, sir. Toyota Series.
Okay.
Yep. So I've really been doing that the last year or so, trying to get learn as much as I can, meet as many new guys as I can, explore these new lakes, get as many opportunities present in front of me as possible. Like our championship is here in a couple weeks, November 2nd to the 4th on Table Rock. So any viewers, y'all hop on the live and hopefully watch me or Kyle win that, or Dakota. He can win it for sure. So I've been mainly doing the co-angler deal.
Right.
Which
is normal. That's what
100%.
That's what most guys do when they're jumping into it.
Right. After college, but I want to. This is something that, like, I want to do going forward. I want to become the next wheel. I want to be the number one. I want to be the KVD. I want to go on where I am the number one.
Yeah.
I want to be the next Michael Jordan. And my goal is to not stop until I'm there.
Yeah.
So I'm going to work in and day out. So the co-angler deal is good because you can go to all these lakes. Like we went to St. Lawrence River in New York this summer, and in February we went to Okeechobee. So Kentucky Lake and Kentucky Lake Eufaula, Alabama. All these cool lakes that
you see on TV all the time.
100%.
You hear about all the time, but now you're getting in them.
Right, you're getting in them as a co-angler, so it's a lot cheaper for co-anglers because you don't have to bring your boat or anything. You kind of just show up and you fish off the back of the pro's boat. So you do that and you get to learn and see what those guys are doing, because a lot of those guys in the Toyota series are trying to get to that next level, the Invitationals and the Bass Pro Tour. So you get to meet a lot of cool guys and be able to learn from them.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of really, really good smallmouth stuff that if I wouldn't have gone to St. Lawrence, then I probably would have never even thought of or learned. But now, like, that I've gone to St. Lawrence.
What do you think about catching smallmouth?
Oh, it's exceptional.
Yeah.
That's probably my favorite lake in the world. I want to go back, so I can't even tell you how bad I want to go. Catching a 5-pound smallmouth is
I
the
bet
funnest
it's electric.
thing in the world.
Yeah.
But you get to learn all these new things through that co-angler deal, and the co-angler deal is definitely something I want to do going into next year too. Since will still kind of be in high school then. That's another deal going forward I want to do, and then maybe do a year of it. So I'm only going to go to college for like 2.5 years because I've done a lot of it through Weatherford College.
Okay.
So I'll be like a couple hours under my associate. So like ever since like I quit tennis, like I said, this has been a main focus. So my main focus has been I want to go pro as fast as I can. So I've been doing all these college classes trying to get prepared. So when I do go to college, I only have to go for a short amount of period for 2 years. And then after that, I'm free to go. I don't have to worry about school anymore. And I can just go 100% focused on fishing and working. So that's been a deal to me. Like through the preparation for going forward.
Where are you going to school?
I don't know yet. I haven't committed anywhere. Okay. I have a list.
Okay.
But I'm not sure yet.
All right.
So we'll see. But
I saw a logo. If you're watching this, you can probably see a logo on Nevan's shirt. That's why I was curious.
100%.
Whatever.
Right. But going to college in the future for sure. I want to go study marketing.
Cool.
And probably minor in business or accounting. So
I can't think of two better things to focus on while you're in college, by the way. Doing what you're going to be doing is marketing and business or
100%.
Something along those lines, because that's what you're going to be doing while you're fishing is all of those things, how to promote yourself, how to gain those sponsorships and team up with people and that kind of deal. So that's genius.
100%. And if fishing doesn't work out, marketing and accounting and business is always going to be needed in the fishing industry. So you can always be around it as well.
Right.
Either if that's marketing for a bait company or a tackle shop, or even like pro guys have their own marketers now to market themselves to sponsors. That's just another deal where I'm just trying to open as many doors as I can. If down the road me coming pro does not turn out like I want to, that's just another door that I've opened that I can end up doing if I need to. But after college, like I said, I definitely want to fit. I'm still unsure in college if I want to fish as a boater or not, or still continue as a co-angler. But I definitely want to stay in MLF. And after college, 100%, I'm going to go as a boater, and I'm going to try my hardest to get on the Invitationals, and hopefully from the Invitationals hop on the Bass Pro Tour and do that until I either can't fish anymore or I don't know.
That's what you're going to do.
That's what I want to do, really.
That's awesome.
100%.
Man, so, I mean, I admire that kind of mentality. It's cool to hear what your dreams are. And you and I were talking a little bit before we started the interview, before we hit record, and I said it's cool to think about that not only is your future bright, but your present is bright. You have such an impact on young anglers. I love those guys looking up to you, and you out fishing with them every once in a while. I see it on your social media, and y'all ragging, or some of them ragging you every once in a while. And that's the nature of the game.
Right.
But I think it's neat to see the impact that you have right now. I guess for a second, talk about, you mentioned Keith and Kyle Hall a little bit ago. I love those guys as well.
Oh, yeah.
What is that meant to you? They own Tri-Lakes Tackletown here in Granbury. They're one of our sponsors for the Brazos River podcast. What has that relationship meant to you for Keith and Kyle? Kyle, who's such a successful angler. Right. He's also personable. He hates to be on camera. I can tell you that. I was on the water with him yesterday, and he was like, "What do you want me to do?" I was like, first of all, give me a little enthusiasm.
Right. Smile.
Smile. Anything like that would be beneficial. But talk about that relationship with Keith and Kyle and what that's meant to you over the last year.
Right. So that relationship's been nothing but good. For the longest time, those are two guys I looked up towards. So now being able to be friends with them and kind of have them mentor me and know them on a more personal level, enjoy very much. How I look at it is Keith is very business smart, and especially in the fishing industry, he's been everywhere and he knows a lot. So with Keith, I'm able to learn the business side of fishing. Like, I'm able to learn all about these companies and what goes down behind the scenes. So he's like more behind the scenes guy.
Yeah.
So I can learn from that aspect. And then with Kyle, I can learn actually about fishing itself.
Yeah.
So that's a really cool deal that I think is a huge help for me, because now I'm able to learn both sides of the sport, and most of the time at the same time, whether that be going and chasing giant smallmouth or sharelunkers with Kyle, or going to conventions with Keith and being able to meet the owners of these companies and learn about.
He knows how to hobnob with people.
100%.
Yeah.
And being able to learn like the whole business side. It's been nothing but great, I would say.
Yeah. I'm huge fans of theirs too. They can be a couple of goofballs, which I love, but I'm huge fans of theirs as well. So you don't know where you're going to school yet. You know, you're dead set on fishing.
100%.
And I love, again, what you've got ahead of you and your mindset. So this has been really special. Is there anything kind of that you were thinking, you know what, I wish we could talk about this? We've told the story.
Right. We've told the story about trying to think. I get loads of DMs and questions a day, but I'm trying to think of like what's the most hit-on question.
That's a good question. Yeah, what do people ask about? I'm sure you get stuff about your boat.
100%.
Let me ask you this. Right now, it's October. As we record, it's October 18th. Are you doing much fishing right now?
I am. Okay. So I'm practicing this weekend on Lake Granbury. So if anyone's out there, just look for the black icon, give me a shout, wave, stop by. I'd love to talk to y'all. Yeah. But we have a tournament not this weekend, but the next on Lake Granbury for Texas Bass Nation, which for young anglers, that's going to be an exceptional opportunity going forward in the state of Texas. That Texas Bass Nation deal with the cash payouts and everything. Right. That's a cool deal that I'm going to be fishing and be a part of from the rest of my senior year.
You don't have to tell me colors or anything, but are the fish hitting anything worth sharing about? You don't know specifics.
Right. Right now the lake's turning over, so it's kind of been challenging from what I've heard. I haven't been on Granbury in a couple weeks. I've mainly been focusing on PK and trying to catch more giants out there.
Right. Yeah. Talk about the fishing on. We didn't do this with Kyle because you never know where Kyle's head's going to be whenever or what he's about to say, which is part of why I love him. But talk about Lake Granbury fishing a little bit. And this lake is gorgeous, first of all,
100%.
and it's got bass in it. Right. But fishing on this lake can be challenging at times. I mean, I got a few months ago, I got hooked on a nearly 5-pounder and on this lake, and I flipped it in the boat, and I couldn't believe it because I've never caught anything that big on Lake Granbury. And you're fishing a lake. I'm used to fishing kind of what you're talking about. You used to fish when you were younger, creeks and, that kind of thing. I'm going out to Day Cordova Bend Estates, fish out there. I can catch bass all day long. Right. But when you're out there in the middle of the lake trying to catch something, that was a game changer for me. I couldn't believe I caught something that big out there. Oh, yeah. So talk about the challenges of fishing Lake Granbury specifically. In the most couth way. I said the most couth way you can.
It's super hit or miss. So all the viewers and listeners watching, if you go out to Granbury and you don't have a good day, do not get your feelings hurt. Yeah. This lake can be extremely, extremely tough sometimes. And especially during the summer and like right now as we're transitioning into the fall and it's starting to turn over, it can be really hard for a lot of anglers. Now, growing up around this lake, I have a lot of experience, and sometimes that experience just doesn't even work out then. Like, it is a hard lake, but sometimes there's not another lake in the world I'd rather go to than Granbury.
Yeah.
Like, that during the fall or that late fall, winter, and spawn by, there's probably, besides OHIV, because the Sharelunkers,
right.
I love to spend a majority of my time on Granbury because it's such a unique fishery, and the fact that there's so much different things you can do.
Right.
It's clear by the dam, but it's shark milk in the river.
Yep.
There's docks, rocks, vegetation, timber. There's so many
Depends
different
on what
things
you want to hit
can
that
do,
day. Yeah.
right? It's like an option of what you want to do that day. And the fish move a lot on this.
Yeah.
Like, they move in and out and throughout the day. And even like temperature, any rain can like set them off in a snap, and it can be, you can have 30 pounds one day and you can have 0 the next.
Yeah.
And I've been there, and it's sometimes really good and sometimes really bad, but you have to, I would definitely say, keep an open mind on this lake. You know, each day on this lake is different.
Yeah.
It may,
what's your PB on Granbury?
6'4", I believe. 6'4",
which is
3.
That's a great fish.
Right. And
here.
that was caught last winter.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
We had a 10, didn't we have a close to 10 pounder
Yeah,
caught
that
out
was
here?
like 9, 8. It was really close to 10.
Which
it was
is nuts.
huge.
Absolutely. I think one of the biggest fish I've seen at the tournament was 8 something.
Right.
Which obviously won big fish that night.
Oh, 100%.
What's your PB period?
12 on the dot. 12.000.
Wow.
On the dot.
Where at?
OHIV.
Of course.
And 3, it was crazy because when we think, most of the time we think big bait, big fish.
Yeah.
But that fish was caught on a 3-inch swim bait, which that like mind blows to a lot of people. Like,
right.
Whoa, like such a small bait caught that big of a fish. It's crazy, but that was such a cool time.
Yeah.
When I caught that one.
How's your scoping game? Live scope.
It's pretty good.
Is it?
I would say it's pretty good.
Yeah, you can't.
I'm not Kyle or Josh, but it's okay. It can get you out of a bind in the winter for sure.
Yeah, that's good. And have you gone out to JB Thomas yet?
I haven't. I really want to. There's a lot of guys like killing them out there, just tens.
Yeah.
Like every day are being caught, and I just want to go out there really bad.
Well, you're not supposed to talk about locations very much on podcasts like this. Like, if you've listened to our podcasts before, anytime somebody shares a hunting location, I usually bleep it out. Almost sounds like they're saying a cuss word. But with fishing, it's a little bit different because it's such a challenge. When you get out there on the lake, just because you know that they're out there, it almost frustrates you even more.
Like
because
Ivy.
Ivy's, yes.
Ivy is such a magical, but so frustrating.
Yes.
Because you'll be there and like Josh and Kyle and like Brett Cannon and Dalton Smith, they're all posting these 10 pounders and Sharelunkers, and you're like,
and you go out there
and 0. And you're like, where are the fish in this lake? It doesn't even make sense.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Well, and that's what's crazy about it. You can share locations all day long.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, you could share, I use Onyx for hunting. What do you use to, what's the app you use to share points on the water when you're fishing?
I've just mainly used Apple Maps. Just drop a pin and send it to somebody.
Yeah,
That's
so
what I do.
You can drop a pin and send it to somebody and say, dude, I caught a big mama over here.
Right.
And it doesn't matter. I mean, because that's how hard fishing is.
It is.
I mean, that's what's so crazy about it. It's not just some kind of guarantee.
100%.
And people get so wrapped up. We talked a little bit about this with Kyle. Is, you think you can go out there, catch whatever just because you know that lake is going to be hot.
Right.
But that does not mean that you're going to bring in that Sharelanker. And so that's what's crazy to me, and that's why I admire you guys so much, is it requires the discipline that you've been talking about. It requires all of those zeroing out at those tournaments to 100%. Learn, okay, I better get serious. The idea of this is fun, right. But I've got to, just like a football player has to work out twice a day.
Right.
Just anybody who's going to do it at the level that you are planning on doing it for the rest of your life, it's going to require dedication.
100%.
And so that's part of why I love what you guys are doing. So, well, thanks for coming on, man.
100%.
This has been good.
I enjoyed it. Yep.
I wanted to hear your story. I wanted to hear, you're 17. Like I said, I've admired your mindset and the way that you've operated.
Right.
And so I kind of wanted to dive into a little bit of that, and we got a taste of that today. So thanks for joining us. So
I enjoyed it.
All right, you guys make sure and go follow Nevan. Where can they follow you?
Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. It's just Nevan Osburn or Nevan_Osburn. So NEVAN_ and then Osburn's OSBURN.
He's a great follow, and because of his partnerships too. The guys he partners with shares his stuff often, and all those products are great too. So
100%.
make sure and go give Nevan a follow. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you next week.